This is Super Yacht News with Sisman.
Hi, welcome back to the channel. Okay, on my left hand side here you can see a very grainy image, but it is very clearly Motor Yacht Nord. She has been spotted again in the Seychelles. She has been there for quite a few months now. Previously to that she was in the Maldives, and previously to that she was in Hong Kong when she was heading to supposedly South Africa. Caused a bit of a stir. The AIS had South Africa in the destination, and then they went dark after leaving the Malacca Straits and disappeared. Now we tracked her about 9 days later in the Maldives, and ever since then she's been playing hide and seek with us, but we always find her. And this was taken 2 days ago, still with no AIS, and the vessel is next to Praslin Island in the Seychelles. The yacht is owned by Alexei Mordashov, who is sanctioned by the EU, the UK and the US. Okay, so the following photos and videos are of Jeff Bezos's new yachts. They have met up in Palma in Spain. He has two yachts now, if you didn't know already. Motor Yacht Koru, which is a 127 meter sailing yacht, fully fledged sailing yacht. He also has a 75 meter or 246 foot support vessel, which is exactly what it sounds like. It follows around the mothership everywhere it goes, carries all the toys, and as you can see in the footage here, she's got a massive crane for lifting those toys on and off. And she also has, in the last shot there, the helicopter, which I believe is a Eurocopter EC-145, but I'm sure there are some helicopter experts out there who will correct me if that's incorrect. So it looks like, from all the movements and the fact that the yachts of the Abiona was in Florida and she sailed across the Atlantic to meet up with Koru. Koru was on a maiden voyage recently, so it looks like they're meeting up. Looks like the boss is going to be joining soon. So Jeff Bezos imminent in Palma de Mallorca, possibly. Anyway, we'll move on, and we'll move on to our first story. And this is about Feadship's new yacht. This is a brand new build. It's still in build. It hasn't been completed yet. First look at the yacht. This is just brought out of the shed, if you like. There was no fancy launch like Lursen does. Just gets pulled out of the shed and into the daylight for the first time, so to speak. Now, Feadship build this as one of the most technically advanced and dynamically engineered Feadships of recent years. Now, they've described it as the next step on Feadship's path towards building zero-emission superyachts by 2030. Now, that's quite a project in itself, isn't it? Zero emissions by 2030. So what they've said is that this is a new generation of large yachts furthering carbon reduction through hulls optimized at cruising speed rather than top speed, and also advancements in electric propulsion and the ability to run the generators on HVO, which is a second generation biodiesel, a so-called net zero CO2 fuel. The sea trials of the vessel, when it goes on the sea trials, will be on HVO, and when they deliver the yacht to the owner, it will be filled with HVO as well, and that will reduce the CO2 emissions for at least that period of 90%. So if they run the vessel on HVO, it will reduce carbon emissions by 90%, which is quite impressive. It has 4.5 times more electrical storage capacity than the first hybrid yacht that Feadship built, which was Motor Yacht Savannah, which sounds like they're talking about batteries. I found this the most interesting. The vessel has no drive shafts and no rudders. So the drive shaft is what gives a lot of the vibration on a ship. So having no drive shaft it usually means that they've got electric propulsion like azipods, and no rudders as well. So the electric drive and steering are through a pair of electrical Veth contra-rotating thrusters, as you can see on screen here. Very unusual design. I'm not sure how that does transverse movements. Exterior design and interior architecture are by British firm RWD. So there wasn't an awful lot more released about the yacht other than it's 84 meters or 275 foot. Some of the observations after looking at these photographs, at the forward end of the ship, the bow of the ship, it appears that is a glass dome on the front there. So it appears to be a room there with windows. You can see in some of the images, you can see the lights on the inside. Now that's normally where the mooring station would be. But you can see that black strip that goes all the way around the yacht appears to be windows, at least at the front. But further back, you can see there are, on both sides, there are tender garage doors. And also in this other photograph here, you can see the mooring station doors are open there. And you can see where the lines are going in. So the mooring station is behind that room, which is some sort of panoramic room or something like that. Now that's an interesting design. That room will probably be accessed by going in from a lower deck, because obviously all of that stuff is behind and the owner's not going to want to walk through a working area of the ship, you know, the mooring station, especially as when you're mooring, you can't go through there unless you're qualified to be in there. So that's probably accessed from the deck below. Might be a bit of a pain for the crew to have a room in the front of that area, but I'm sure it will work anyway. But yeah, very interesting design. It's not your average looking Feadship, is it? Let me know what you think in the comments about the design. All right, so we'll move on now to our main story, and this is about Steven Spielberg, not directly, but sort of indirectly, I suppose. An American super yacht broker is suing the builder of Steven Spielberg's latest yacht. Now, he's had two yachts, Steven Spielberg. The first one was an 86-meter built by Oceanco, and the most recent one, it's just been delivered, 109-meter, also built by Oceanco. Now, Millwood and Associates, the American brokers, are saying that they are owed money based on a 5% commission. Now, I'm not sure how much the vessel cost, but it's the number that's been thrown around is $250 million. So 5% would be, you know, approximately 12.5 million. Now, what's interesting about this is that Millwood and Associates, they introduced Steven Spielberg to Oceanco in 2008. And then not long after that, he ordered the brand new yacht, which became Seven Seas, Motor Yacht Seven Seas. That was his boat until recently. Now, last year, or was it the year before, I made a video from Genoa. I will put a link if you want to go and see it, because there's footage of that yacht. And I announced in that video that he was building another yacht. I think the video was called Steven Spielberg Needs a Bigger Boat. There's a Jaws reference if you didn't know. He sold that boat last year, and it was renamed Man of Steel. I'll go into that a little bit more in a minute. Now, where the money owed comes from is that apparently Millwood and Associates are saying that they made an agreement with Oceanco that because they brought Steven Spielberg to them, for the first yacht they would get 3.5% commission. This is what Millwood and Associates are alleging, and for any future yachts they would get a 5% commission. Then the brokers said they contacted Oceanco several times in which they asked them about this agreement, and Oceanco never sent any confirmation or denial. They never said, well, no, that's not accurate. You know, they just didn't reply, and no payment was ever made. So Millwood and Associates went to a court in the Netherlands, and they got the court to agree to hear preliminary hearings from witnesses. Now, one of those witnesses apparently is going to be Mr. Steven Spielberg himself, who is 76 years old now, which is, I didn't realize he was that old. So yeah, so he is apparently going to have to go to the Netherlands to give evidence in that court case. Now, going back to Man of Steel, we mentioned it earlier, 86 meter or 282 foot. And the owner, the person who bought it from Steven Spielberg, is Barry Zelkerman, who is a Canadian steel magnate. Oh, by the way, when Steven Spielberg sold the yacht, he sold it with, which broker would you imagine he sold it with? Millwood and Associates. All right, so if you are struggling to watch this whole video, which maybe you've got ADHD, but if you, I know a lot of people have been saying that they prefer to have the story split up. We've got a new channel now called aptly Super Yacht News. You can find the link below. You can also search for it by typing @superyacht-news in YouTube. Go over there, subscribe, and you'll get each individual story broken up into bite-sized chunks. Also, don't forget to check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/esisman. We just posted the latest in a series called Patreon Chat, where I talk about the upcoming Monaco Yacht Show and stories from previous shows. Bit of behind the scenes footage as well that you don't get to see on YouTube. You'd also get to see other exclusive videos not published on YouTube, like my Atlantic vlog series. You get early access to features advert free. You'll get to suggest topics for future videos, and you'll get to ask questions for patron only Q&As. If you've got any information about any of the stories here or any other stories, please be sure to get in touch. You can do that through the usual methods of the About page of the YouTube channel. You can get us on Instagram, on Facebook Messenger. You can also get us on Threema. Be sure to like this video, very important. Hit the subscribe button and hit the bell for future notifications. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye-bye. Hi, welcome back to the channel. Okay, on my left-hand side here, you can see a very grainy, but... Hi, welcome back to the channel. Okay, on my left-hand side here, you can see a very grainy, but nonetheless, a clear image. Doesn't make sense.